To graph a logarithmic function, so this is a basic logarithmic function that has no shifts, no horizontal shifts, vertical shifts. So the first thing that we want to be able to remember is that the inverse of a logarithmic function is an exponential function. So if we remember that when we look at this, so let's say we have some function f of x, and the base rate here of the logarithm is 1/2, so we'll say that we have an exponential function that it's 1/2 raised to the x. So to be able to graph a logarithmic function, some of the points that we have to be able to remember are that for -1, we're going to have 1 over a, where a is the base of the exponential function. 0 is always going to give us 1, and 1 is always going to give us a, whatever the base of the function is. So we were to plot those points right here, so x and 1/2 x. So we will have, for -1, the output would be 1 over 1/2, which is 2. For 0, it's always going to be 1. And for 1, it's going to be a, which is 1/2. Now, what we have to remember is that the inverse, that the logarithmic function base 1/2 is the inverse function of the exponential function of base 1/2. So what we say is that if we have the points, if we have the point for, I'm going to call this one g of x equals the log base 1/2 of x, that means that the points for this function must be 2, -1, 1, 0, and 1/2, 1. Now notice that they are not in order, but I can put them, we can easily arrange them in order. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plot these points right here. I'm going to use blue. So when x equals to 2, right, y equals -1. When x equals 1, y equals 0. And we also have when x equals 1/2, y equals to 1. So the function is going to look a little bit like that, okay? And you could plot other points as well, but that's roughly how it's going to look. And something that we have to remember, that if we look at the domain for the exponential function was from -infinity to infinity, and the range was from 0 to infinity. Therefore, the domain of this function, we can even see it. The domain is going to become, is going to be the range of the exponential function. So the domain is going to be from 0 to infinity, and we can see right here, right, that it only exists from 0 to infinity. And the range is going to be from -infinity to infinity. If we'll look right here, right, so all on the y-axis, the function is going to exist. So that's how we graph a logarithmic function. I'm just going to plot the points of the exponential function just so you know what it would have looked like. So if we would have plotted the exponential function, it would have been -1, 2, 0, 1, 1, 1/2. So the exponential function would have looked like this. And if you look at the y equals x-axis, you will know that they are basically a reflection along the y equals x-axis. All right, and that's how we graph a basic logarithmic function.